this on the computer and we'll see what happens. Hi, everybody. I want to talk about the math for the timeline of the universe activity. So here's how this works out. I've drawn a line across my board, and that's going to be my timeline. You guys are going to make timelines on a piece of paper of some length, whether it's 100 centimeters or less or more, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say this on my timeline. Over here is the Big Bang. That is the Big Bang. That's the beginning of our universe. Over here, on the other end of our timeline, is now. So I've got the Big Bang on one end, and I've got now over there. Okay, what am I supposed to do next? Well, I know the age of the universe. The universe is 13 billion years old. It's 13.8 billion years old. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, the universe is 13.8 times 10 to the 9th years. That's the age of the universe. Now you'll notice too that I didn't put it in correct scientific notation. Technically what I should do is I should move the decimal place and make it 1.38 times 10 to the 10th. But for me, I know that 10 to the 9th is a billion. And I just say it's 13.8 times 10 to the 9th years, 13.8 billion years. Okay, so that's the age of the universe in years. What I need to do next though, is I need to know how long my timeline is in centimeters using the metric system. So I measured it out. That's 100 centimeters there. And that is like 80 centimeters there. So what I can say is that 13.8 billion years is 180 centimeters. That's the scale. That is the scale of my timeline. I'm going to use this scale to do my conversions for putting the different events, for putting those different milestones on my timeline. So what you'll need to know for your timeline is you need to know the age of the universe, 13.8 times 10 to the 9th years, 13 billion years, and you need to know how long your timeline is in centimeters. Use the metric system too. So I know that this is the Big Bang and this is now. The Big Bang happened 13.8 billion years ago. How do I put the milestones on there? Well, let's do a basic one for starters, and I will say the Earth formed. Earth formed. Well, how long ago did the Earth form? Well, the Earth formed 4.5 times 10 to the 9th years ago. That's when the Earth formed. So the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that cancellation of units process to figure out where to put my Earth formed milestone on the timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fraction out of this, and I'll put it over 1. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some multiplication. I'm going to use my scale. Now, according to my scale, well, what I'm going to do is down the bottom, I'll put 13.8 times 10 to the 9th years. That's the age of the universe. And then up here, I'm going to put 180 centimeters. So the way this works out, let me look at my units. We're going to do some cancellation of units. I got years on the top and I got years on the bottom. They're going to go away. And it's kind of a funky unit to have. The units that I'm left with are centimeters and ago, so I can say centimeters ago. And if I do a little math, we're doing math with fractions. I got my calculator. I know it's been a while since you guys have used calculators. And what I'll do is I'll go 4.5. I got to know how to use scientific notation on my calculator. 4.5 times 10 to the 9th times 180 divided by 13.8 second function E9 equals 58.7. 58.7 centimeters ago. So then what I do is I take my ruler and I have to measure back in time. So I'll go 58.7 and I'll make a little mark right there and I'll say Earth formed. How are we doing? Checking the chat. There we go. So that's how I figure out where to put the Earth. The Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago, which on my timeline is 58.7 years into the past. I measure backwards. Let me do another one. First galaxies. First galaxies. The first galaxies, if I do my research, the first galaxies were about 200 million years ago. 200 times 10 to the 6th years ago. Oh wait, sorry, not years ago. The first galaxies formed 200 million years after the Big Bang. 200 million years after the Big Bang. So the Big Bang happened, and then about 200 million years took place, and somewhere over here, the galaxies formed, and I gotta figure out where to put this. I have to measure it so that it's to scale. So then what I'll do, I'm gonna use my same scale. I've started out with this number here, 200 million years. My scale doesn't change for my timeline. My timeline is always gonna be 180 centimeters long, and my timeline is always gonna be 13.8 times 10 to the 9th years in length. If I look at my units that cancel out, my years are gonna go away. And I'm gonna get a unit, I'm gonna get a number that's in, I'll write it down here, centimeters after the Big Bang. So let me do some math here. I'll go clear, 200 times 10 to the 6th, 200e6 times, let's see, it's on the top there, 180 times 180 divided by 13.8 times 10 to the 9th, 2.6 centimeters after the Big Bang. And the next thing I do is, okay, well, I got to take my ruler and I'm going to make a little mark right around here. So not, if you're looking at the scale of my timeline, right around here, this tiny little increment is first galaxies formed. And I draw a cool looking picture on my illustrated timeline. So that's how you do the math for the timeline project. So what you would do is you would take your different milestones, and like I showed you, you have to be careful. You have to either measure backwards in time from now, measuring backwards in time from now, or you have to measure from the Big Bang, and it kind of depends on what number that you got for research. There you have it. So I'm going to hit stop on the record.